That was pretty disturbing to watch. Very disturbing to hear. Look, folks, we've got to knock off the divisions. Okay? We've got to knock it off. We need to have a common understanding that underneath each and every layer of what makes us, us, there is a human life. And that is the focal point. Human life. We don't have to agree with everything that another person thinks to have that common bond. Human life. If we don't get our acts together, those that want to control us, those that want to control everything about us, our thoughts, our actions, will walk right over us. They've been doing it for years. The best way that I have learned to live is by putting everything to biblical scale. Okay? And I understand not everybody's a believer, not anybody wants to subscribe to belief, and that's fine. See, I still respect that, and I still respect you, because why? Because you're a human life. See, that's what's important. Your sexual preference, that's not important to me. Your religious or non-religious preference, that's not important to me. Who you're going to vote for, not important. It always comes back to the same thing in my mind. There are over 7.5 billion of us on this ball of dirt. So I would expect somebody in 7.5 billion individuals is going to have a different opinion than me. I don't have the right to force my opinion on them, and they don't have the right to force their opinion on me. But I can still get along. I can still love them as a brother or a sister. And I can still protect and defend that human life. See, because that's the one thing that we all have in common that we can't take away. And if we focus on that, if we make that the point of our being, this stuff will stop. Because they won't have anybody to cheer them on. We can go right back to the scales of right and wrong. And that's the scales that I would tell someone to use if they're not a person of faith. There's still right and wrong. So we got to strip away all these layers. And we have to understand, even if somebody lives life in a manner that we wouldn't personally choose, it's still human life. You see, life is about living, oddly enough. You know, in this country, we support this notion of pursuit of happiness. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And before we can even take in air to take a breath, somebody's got to say, but. There's no buts. No buts. As long as one individual is not physically harming another individual, guess what? Nobody else's business. There's a lot of hard, cold facts that a lot of us don't want to see, that we're going to have to accept. But if you put everything to those scales of right and wrong, it makes going through that fog a little bit easier. We don't have a lot of time, folks. They've got their steamroller fueled up, ready to go. And we are making it a ripe season for them just to roll right over us, which is exactly what they're going to be doing. And I mean it. We do not have a lot of time. For those that prefer not to keep their heads in the sand or under the covers, you already know. Our economy is just waiting for them to go ahead with it and say, okay, well, it's done. It's been that way for years. You know, we're seeing God being taken out of everything. And again, to those that don't choose to be a believer, that's fine, right? And I should be fine with you choosing not to believe just as much as me choosing to believe should be fine with you. Why? Goes right back to it. We're both human life. Better get our acts together. We need to stop judging one another. It's not our job.